Veldanava was devoured by Ivarage right before my eyes. I doubt you understand what I'm saying, but frankly, neither do I. Could I possibly use my power to separate Veldanava from Ivarage, who just ate him? If that's possible, it seems like it would drastically reduce his power, but... Rimuru-kun, what do you plan to do? PP-san. What do you plan to do, he asks, that's not really the point. Also, stop adding kun to my name at a time like this. With that comment, you're planning to dump this whole thing on me, aren't you? I really need to emphasize here that the prime contractor has supervisory responsibilities too. Oh no, a small fry like me is just following your lead, P-san. Don't get smart with me. Handle your shit yourself. No. This isn't just about me, is it? This is everyone's problem. I pleaded my case, but unfortunately, there were some heartless folks present. Look, Rimuru-san. That thing is way out of my league. I have no choice but to agree. Ditto. Dino, Grasha, and Pico were the first to insist that this was not their place to interfere. I can understand their argument though. After all, having absorbed Veldanava, Ivarage had transformed into a monster no matter how you looked at it. It had changed from a form mimicking a beautiful woman into something like a hybrid of dragon and human. It reminded me of Milim when she went into her stampede frenzy. It is the ultimate state. Covered head to toe in dragon scales, rendering ordinary attacks and magic completely ineffective. It seems to be focusing on completely absorbing Veldanava, as it hasn't moved yet. However, I had a premonition that the moment it starts moving will mark the end of the world. Just a single glance is enough to convey how dangerous this is. As if looking strong wasn't enough, Ivarage was wielding Genesis' great weapons in both hands. It was unclear if he could handle dual wielding, but if he had consumed Veldanava and gained control over all authorities, I had to assume he had already mastered perfect swordsmanship as well. Honestly speaking, I didn't think Dino and the others would be able to do a thing against him. Rimuru, I'll help you out. Milim offered her assistance, but she looked like she was covered in wounds herself. Her major injuries had healed, but small cuts remained. If Milim were at full strength, such things would have vanished in an instant. Rimuru-san, I'll help too. An outrageously beautiful girl Chloe said this. However, I knew the truth. Chloe's specialty, future sight, was meaningless in the suspended world, and her energy was nearly depleted from the fierce battles she had fought. To be honest, I didn't feel right asking the current Milim and Chloe for help. I really did want the assistance, but I hated the idea of exposing them to danger even more. I appreciate the sentiment, but leave this to me. I want you guys to observe how I fight and look for any weaknesses in Ivarage. I swallowed my tears and said this. Is that right? If that's the case, I'll leave it to you. Wrong. Come on, P, I wasn't talking to you. Relax. You're good at idly stalling for time, aren't you? So go ahead and buy as much time as you can for her sake. I couldn't deny it when he put it that way. Among the members present, or rather, compared to anyone else, I was indeed the best at buying time. Besides, I had Ciel-san with me now, so I felt no anxiety whatsoever. With a sense of resignation, I decided to accept his proposal. Good luck, Rimuru. Ramrus, now in her adult form, cheered me on. She looked like a refined lady, but her behavior was still childish. Perhaps because she grew up using a cheap method of borrowing energy from me, the sense of dissonance I felt looking at her was extreme. It was great that she could wield immense power like primitive magic, but if you asked me if she was suited for combat, the answer would be no. If Ramrus tried to help, she'd likely just drag me down. Hey Rimuru, aren't you thinking something rude? Nope. Not at all. Well, alright then. Alright then, I'll try out a few things for now. I said this, turning my eyes toward Ivarage. Yeah, we're counting on you. Hearing Guy's voice behind me, I responded with a shrug. The reliable one here was Vildor. It seems it is my turn, perhaps. To my great relief, he announced his participation. However, Vildor fighting alongside me meant losing my safety net. I didn't think we'd both be defeated at the same time, but the possibility wasn't zero. Let's hold off on that. This her final defense line is our ultimate secret weapon, after all. I'll see how things go for a little bit longer. If that is the case, I shall trust in you and wait. Because Vildor was there, he had entrusted the stalling to me. It was reluctant on my part, but I had to admit it was the best strategy. For now, I'll just clash with her. I should gauge the enemy's strength first, then formulate a serious plan. Well, I'll give it a go. Leaving those words behind, I flew toward Ivarage. Approaching Ivarage, I reconfirmed just how dangerous she was. How should I put it, it was nasty. He was emitting such a sinister, ominous aura that it seemed impossible for a human to win. It is alright. Master is not losing, in that regard. You know, I'm not that evil. Well, since Ciel-san gave her stamp of approval, I felt a little relieved. Even so. The amount of energy is surprisingly massive. I couldn't measure it accurately, but in terms of existence value, it looked to be well over several billion. There is no mistake that it has reached the trillions. Huh. That's impossible. More than 100 times my prediction. That's just a broken game. How could she possibly assess that and say I wasn't losing? And she declared it so confidently. Could it be that Ciel's sense calculation ability has declined a bit? There is no such fact. Absolutely not. It would be a problem if it were true, but maybe her performance degraded when she was kidnapped by Veldanava. It makes me happy that Master relies on me, but I would like to see you get serious for once. Okay. Ciel's sense overestimation of me is scary. I'm always serious, but she just doesn't seem to understand that. Well, whatever. This isn't the time to be arguing with my partner, so I'll try a little harder. I readied my beloved sword, Alpus, toward Ivarage. Kai haha. So this is what strong feels like. Laughing loudly, Ivarage unleashed a two-hit combo the moment he noticed me. Too slow. I dealt with it without panicking. Far from being slow, it was actually terrifyingly fast, but if I viewed it with thought acceleration, it was no problem. I didn't know what the current magnification rate was, but I could understand everything from Ivarage's movements to his future aim, as if I were holding it in my hand. Spirit is important in a match, so I didn't spare any bluffs. If Ivarage got confused by this, it would be a gain for me. As soon as I parried the sword in his right hand which reached me first, I swung down on the left side. Then, I unleashed a full-power roundhouse kick toward his defenseless torso. In aerial combat, there's no footing, so transferring power used to be difficult. But I was used to it now. Whether in the atmosphere or anywhere else, I could generate repulsion forces to exert power with maximum efficiency. If I wanted, I could even perform stunts like spreading bat-like wings to accelerate my body and increase the power even further. Since the suspended world was currently active, air resistance and various other dynamics weren't functioning. Yet I was moving without issue, so my growth was quite something. Perfect. Right. You can praise me more, thinking that, I followed up with an attack on Ivarage. Ivarage hurriedly regained his posture and caught my katana. One sword wasn't enough, so he crossed his two swords to block. But, however, he couldn't fully absorb the overwhelming shock generated when the swords clashed, and his body was sent flying. Ivarage gouged through the ground as he flew back, finally stopping when he crashed into the Heavens Tower. The fact that the tower, which was supposed to be indestructible, had shattered again told the story of just how great that impact was. However, it was strange. It was certainly a tremendous impact, but it had almost no effect on me. Or rather, it felt like nothing more than a gentle breeze. That meant, in other words, that I was the one pushing him back. Oh, surprisingly. Could it be that this is his full power? Thinking that's ridiculous, I dismissed the thought. I felt a terrifying power coming from Ivarage. His presence was ominous, and according to Ciel-san, his existence value reached the trillions. Yet, it was strange that I was putting up a better fight than I had expected. Master evolves every day, so it is only natural. Truly wonderful. As if answering my doubts, Ciel-san declared it as a matter of fact. No, well, I did want to be praised, but being praised that excessively made it feel fake. I mean, sure. Even I'm surprised by my own growth, and it's not like I'm unhappy about being praised. Being able to move without Ciel-san's assistance is probably like how once you learn to ride a bicycle, you can still ride it even after years. Since it was a technique acquired through experience, my body reacted on its own without me having to think too hard about it. For that reason, I am able to fight Ivarage. I shouldn't waste this chance by worrying and hesitating. Before the blown away Ivarage could stand up, I went into pursuit mode. I struck with my sword wrapped in black flame, as if hammering it in, whittling down Ivarage's stamina. The reason I couldn't say I minced him was that he was too hard to cut. Ivarage's dragon scales were, naturally, of Genesis-grade durability. To cut through this, one would need outrageous skill and a powerful weapon. Setting aside my skill level, since the weapon grades were equal, I judged it to be normally impossible. There is no need to hold back, Like I said, I'm not holding back. Ciel-san's perception seems off somehow. Is everything really okay? While worrying about that, I continue to formulate a strategy for certain victory against Ivarage.